As a landscape photographer, I love nothing more than visiting locations that feel wild, rugged and hostile, and it's these environments that capture my imagination the most. The problem is that we barely scratch the surface of these places, often bypassing so much as we drive in our cars destined for the location of our choice, only to hang around for a couple of hours whilst we wait for the best light. Well, what if we were to immerse ourselves in a location over several days or weeks, get to know it intimately and live in it 24/7 with no walls, no cars, no preconceived ideas of what our photography subject might be? Well, this is exactly what I'm doing as I walk the entire length of the Isle of Skye.
So this is it. This is where the adventure begins. The 𝐕𝐢𝐻 Peninsula, which is the northernmost point of the Isle of Skye.
I'll be walking with fellow YouTuber Murray, aka Scotland's Mountains. Make sure you check out his channel, link in the description below. And we'll be attempting to walk from the northernmost tip of Skye to the southernmost point, the Sleat Peninsula. We'll be wild camping and only taking the essentials. And of course, I'll be photographing the landscape along the way.
So on this hike I'm packing fairly lightweight. I've just got very basic stuff all in this 38-litre pack. I have my tent, sleeping pad, sleeping bag, food, one set of clothes for when I get to camp, and then I'm wearing the other set, one warm jacket and one waterproof. So it's mega lightweight. I also have 2 litres of water as well. But the whole point of me doing this trip is to not only experience Skye by foot, but it's hopefully to enjoy some landscape photography along the way. Now, in previous long distance hikes that I've done, I've struggled with my photography because my camera gear has never been accessible. It's always been in the bag. Therefore, when I'm hiking long distances, I'm reluctant to get my gear out. So on this instance, I've got myself a new piece of kit. I've got myself a bum bag. That's right, a fanny pack. And in this fanny pack is a Fuji X-T4 and 2 lenses. I also have a Fuji X-T4, which you're on now, this recording video, and of course the wide angle lens. So everything's accessible. I can just pull out the camera, pull out my lens of choice, and I'm ready to shoot. That's the plan. A lot of photography is going to be handheld on the fly. I think that's the best way to do it on a long distance hike. So it's getting on. We've got quite a way to go. So yeah, adventure awaits.
Midfields are inside.
Yeah.
This northern coastline is, I mean, words can't really describe. It's absolutely glorious, and we've had this for the past 7 miles. What a treat, absolute treat. You know I love my minimalist photography, and it doesn't get much more minimal than this. We have a white sailboat sailing on a mill pond sea that has no horizon because of all of the mist and fog. It's just beautiful. And you know what? Carrying the camera in my bum bag, or fanny pack, just makes it so accessible, which means already on day one I'm taking so many more photographs than I would have if the camera was in my rucksack. So that would be my absolute #1 tip. If you're hiking and you're a photographer, just make it accessible. Glorious, man, glorious! 13 miles in, and it just gets better and better. Yes, the midges are swarming, which is why I'm dressed like a ninja. But the views are phenomenal. This is camp. So that's camp set up now. Beautiful spot, lovely bit of wind to keep the midges at bay. And here is my camp clothing. So I'm gonna go in the tent, change everything, and get in some lovely, nice, dry, warm clothing. And then we're gonna cook some dinner and probably go to bed. Oh yes, yes, yes. We are changed, clean, comfortable, dry clothes. And we're gonna have this, which is orzo pasta bolognese. And that will mark the end of day one. Today we did just over 16 miles, 16 and a half miles. And we were sort of aiming for 14 per day. And that's quite a lot when you take into consideration that we're filming and photography and, you know, want to take it easy. And, you know, it's not about getting the miles, it's more about enjoying it and not wrecking ourselves. Anyway, so yeah, here we go. Fire pot, orzo, pasta bolognese. I am very much looking forward to this. Oh, oh, oh. So my pasta takes about 15 minutes to cook. So let me show you where we are and what we've done today. This is the Isle of Skye here, obviously, and we started right in the far north. And we're going to finish all the way down here in the south. So that's where we are today. Not great, although we do have 7 days to complete. So let me just show you what we've done so far. So we started here on this very northern point, which was just absolutely phenomenal. The wildlife and the scenes and the atmosphere of the cliffs were just fantastic. So we more or less followed the coastline and then cut across this headland here, and then continued to follow the coastline to 𝐓𝐴𝐿𝐷𝐼, where we actually stopped and had some lunch. We had high tea, believe it or not. From 𝐓𝐴𝐿𝐷𝐼, which is here, we hiked up onto this ridge, which you can see. And that takes us to the 𝐭eráng. This was fantastic, the mood and atmosphere, and oh man, it was just so good, so cool. And then we got to this road here, which is like a big car park, kind of big tourist attraction here where you can get out your car and get a great view of the 𝐭eráng. Probably not how you pronounce it. And then we walked up this ridge line here along the ridge, couldn't find a campsite, so we've dropped down to this nice flat area here where there's a nice breeze but it's not too windy. And that, for us, was 16 miles. I don't think it's quite 16 miles on the map, but we kind of hiked in and then back and then around. So we did a little bit extra to get to the very northern tip of Skye. So that's what we've done today, and we have a lot more to come. So hopefully dinner will be ready soon, and yeah, and bed. Today's been good. Today's been good, day one. And I think the key to having a great long distance hike as a photographer, as I've mentioned before, is to have your camera gear very accessible and worry less about the tripod, which is what we're doing. Right, here we go. Orzo pasta bolognese. 3 out of 5. Right, over and out, guys. I'll see you in the morning for another big day. Good morning, everybody. Oh my God, what a terrible sleep. What a terrible sleep I had last night. I've woke up to what can only be described as a hurricane, and it lasted all night. So the tent was tested and it survived, which is good. but trying to sleep through this was nigh on impossible. So yeah. Alright, so for breakfast we have a nice coffee and a boil in the bag all day breakfast. This is ready now, so I'm going to eat this and then it's time to pack up and move on out of this windstorm. So that's everything packed up. Murray, if you were wondering, is camping about 100 yards that way, and we are now going to hike all the way along this ridge over to the other side. So we're going to get a lot higher, and today is probably, I think, the toughest day. Maybe the last day might be tougher than today, but we have over 1,000 meters of ascent and many miles to go. So now we're going to tackle probably one of the higher points of the hike, which is that's Ben Edra. So we're almost at the top of Ben Edra. It wasn't too bad actually, but this gives us a good idea of where we've come from. So you see this island just here. That is 10 miles from where we started, which is sort of around the headland. So by the time we got to the island, it was 10 miles in. We've come around up here, and then we've skirted under these cliffs here. We didn't go on top. We took the path underneath, which was fantastic with that beautiful needle that was in the mist earlier on. And then we've come all the way over the tops, over, down, and that is where we camped. So that's more or less where we camped last night. And then we've walked along here, down here, and then that is where we're going. Is this our highest point?
No, no.
Ah. Well, I thought this was our highest point, but it's not. We have higher to go than this. Hopefully, by that time, the clouds will have lifted and we'll have epic views. But until then, we shall continue. So, onwards to the next mountain. So we are well off piste, but it's okay because the mist has briefly lifted and we can get a visual where we need to be. We were way off, man. Oh god, easy to get lost up here. I don't know if you can see it, but sort of over there is where we're heading towards. The mist just lifts every now and again and gives you a quick window as to where you need to be. Yeah, this ridge is full of like offshoots, like ridges that peel off left and right, and it can be very easy to take the wrong one in these conditions anyway. If it is crystal clear conditions, it's a doddle, but when it's zero visibility, yeah, check your maps more often. This is it, the highest point on the Skye Trail, and it's up in the clouds. So that is that's next. Once we get over that, plain sailing, man. Should be plain sailing all the way down to camp tonight. Quick update, we are down from the big long ridge crossing, out of the cloud, in the sunshine, and that way, about 1 kilometre as the crow flies, is the destination for our camp this evening. Can we make it? I don't know, because it looks pretty far from here. 14.6 miles so far. We'll have an update when we get to camp. So that is exactly 16 of the hardest miles I've ever done, with some beautiful views and also a lot of nothing. Don't even get me started on the ups and downs. 300 meters up, 400 meters down, 300 meters up, 200 meters down. It went on and on. There was no paths, no tracks, no visibility. Very challenging terrain. It's been a very long day. Like, we gotta be getting on for 11 hours, but we have arrived at what can only be described as the best campsite in all of Scotland. So I'm going to get packed up and I will see you when I am all done and settled. You can forget your camping B-roll. I'll just give you some of the scenery instead whilst I set my tent up. So I got my tent set up, but camp is an absolute mess. My plan was to get everything nice and neat and tidy, food on the go, and then do a piece to camera about the day and how it's been and how tough it's been. But no, how can I not drop everything and photograph this beautiful light that you see all around me? I'm exhausted, man. I need to eat. The pull for hunger, my hunger, I thought was the strongest driving factor, the driving force behind what I was doing, but no, it's lights like this, photography, it's glorious. I've just got a composition framed up here. It's a square composition looking over to the Torridon Mountains with a bit of, what's this, the island, I can't remember the island that's just in the channel here, Raasay, I believe. But I'm not sure, but I think it's Raasay, with Torridon beyond it, with the beautiful deep red light, stormy skies beyond. I'm messing around with a square composition here, but it's not permanent, you know, it's non-destructive. I can change that in Lightroom if I need to, but I love the square, I love the simplicity of it, the focus that it draws on the light, you know. Simplicity is key, because with a simple image, it really draws attention to what's important within the image, usually light or a single subject, something along those lines. And this, I would say, is the light on the mountains in the background. Everything else just pulls you through the image to that light. No distractions, no chaos, no confusion. Glorious shot. Looking at it here on the back of the Fuji X-T4, possibly a favourite of the trip so far. Hey, we're only on day 2 though. Anyway, now I've got that out of my system, I can get back to getting dinner ready, getting camp set up, and finally relaxing after what has been an incredibly difficult, long and challenging day. So before I go to bed, let me just show you what we've done today, and I recorded it on my phone so it's a lot easier for me to show you. So yesterday we did 16 and odd miles and we kind of walked up to here, and this was our campsite. Well, we've done the same mileage today, 16 miles, but it looks a lot longer because our line is much straighter. So this is where we woke up to camp this morning in the howling gale, and we hiked all along this ridge. This ridge is unbelievably epic, and we did have glimpses of some fantastic views, but most of the time we were in the cloud being battered by 30 or 40 mile an hour winds coming from the north. And this ridge here is just up down, up, down, up, down, going mountain to mountain to mountain. It was such hard work. And then when we finally made it to this bit here, where I mentioned before we were going to hike across to our campsite, that was this little section here as well. After doing all that was so difficult. And that's why the whole filming of this evening's setting up camp and photography was a little bit of a rush, and why I am now going to put this camera down and go to bed because I'm exhausted. So I'll see you guys in the morning for more hiking and hopefully a bit more photography. Right, over and out. Morning everybody. What a beautiful morning it is, and what a beautiful day it's going to be. Slept very well last night. Went to bed about 9:30. Woke up about 6 o'clock, and I think I slept all the way through. I did wake up to a lot of condensation. This Nordisk Telemark 2 tent suffers terribly from the effects of condensation. The inner fly was stuck to the outer fly, so that the whole inside was just sopping wet. The two layers don't separate. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Anyway, I'll get that dried off, have my coffee before setting off for another day of hiking. So whilst I'm packing away my tent, let me just tell you very quickly about today's video sponsor, which is my very good friend Jonas and his company Terra Photography Expeditions. Now, I've worked with Jonas for many years now. We've travelled all over the world together, and he's set up a expedition photography company. So it's like photography workshops, but in quite exciting locations. So he sent me some information about one of his trips. This isn't a very professional sponsorship, I'll give you that. But Terra Photography Expeditions are a very professional company. Now listen to this. His next tour that's coming up is on the 15th to the 27th of November, and it's in the Andes, so Ecuador. So you go from the Andes to the Amazon jungle. You could be inspired by beautiful sunsets and sunrises around the world's most active volcanoes. That sounds pretty cool. Explore virgin jungle whilst watching amazing animals in the most biodiverse place on the planet. Here's a good one. Swim in natural hot springs and enjoy exciting Ecuadorian foods. As usual, Jonas has gone to town on the professionalism, so there is more text here than I could ever read out in a short video like this. But if you do want a real photography adventure run by a professional mountain leader and have a truly fantastic adventure, then check out Terra Photography Expeditions and give Jonas an email. Because yeah, you'll have truly a once in a lifetime experience. We did Nepal together, we've done the Alps several times together, and he's an all-round good guy, great company and all that good stuff. So I will link to his company in the description below, and yeah, his next big tour is to Ecuador in November, so I would definitely suggest giving that a look. But for now, packing away the tent, and we're going to head back to civilization and hopefully get a pub lunch. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I completely forgot to mention the most important bit is that you can get €150 off the next Terra Photography Expedition. Use the offer code 𝐴𝐻𝐸TON150, €150. That's the important bit. should have said that. Right, onwards. So straight off the bat we have to be hiking in one of the most scenic parts of the trail on Skye. Although saying that, every single section of this hike that we've walked so far, I've sworn is the most scenic part. So yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong on this island. Absolutely phenomenal. It's just incredible, this place. photographer's paradise. I mean, the mountains, the islands, the weather, the light. Yeah. It can be a struggle sometimes to get to where you're going. Stopping every 10 minutes to take a photograph, but what an absolutely glorious view. Gone in with the telephoto lens, just picking out islands and shapes and bits of light and atmosphere. And that would be my advice. I often get this question, if you could have only one lens, what would it be? Well, obviously that depends on where you're going and what you're doing, but if you're in a mountainous area, especially if you're hiking, take a long lens. This is a 55 to 200 on a crop sensor camera. If that's a standard full frame, then it's the equivalent of about an 80 to 300, something like that. So that gives me a lot of reach, and what that means is when you're hiking along and you see these views, these big views, these dramatic scenes in front of you, you can reach out and pull them in, get them with this lens. Whereas sometimes with a wider lens, yes, it's great because you get the big view, but often the drama and the grandeur is lost. The mountains become very small, and those little vignettes and windows that you always see when hiking, you can't get them. So yeah, there we go, my advice to anybody doing a scenic hike. So that's the highest point on this ridge, and from here we can see Portree, which is the first real civilization that we've seen in a few days, and that can only mean one thing: food. Lots and lots of food. We are now on the worst part of the trail so far, which is nice and flat, and we are clocking off the miles, but it's all just concrete. Yeah. Anyway, it won't be long before we are back out into the wilderness of the Isle of Skye. Hot as well. Hot, hot, hot. Which I'm not complaining about, let's make that clear. We've been spoilt rotten. No rain thus far. So after walking for many miles on concrete in quite hot sunshine, we're both, well, Murray's empty and I'm very low on water, and we're getting a bit worried, and we just come across what is hopefully going to be a lovely stream. Yes, El Paradiso is in front of us, so I think we're going to relax here, dip my feet in the cool water, have a break. Oh wow, yes, this is nice. Oh, Murray's saying there might be, I'm looking at a waterfall behind us, hang on, we might have something else. Hey, that's a fence, Murray.
Oh, there's a barbed wire.
Oh, right, yeah, we might be on to a beach. Yeah, we're off the route now. The Skye Trail is back over that way somewhere. We're going off piste down an unmarked track, hoping to find paradise. Oh yes, here we go. Ah, the beach. Living the life of luxury. Starbucks latte on a private beach with a little foot spa. And wait till you see what I've got to go with my cafe latte. A chocolate donut, a fresh chocolate donut, bought just hours ago in Portree with a cafe latte and a private beach. Come on people. if that doesn't make you want to subscribe, like and comment, I don't know what will. Oh, we're now walking through Tick City. Oh, fern bashing in Scotland. I don't think there are many ticks on the Isle of Skye. I haven't had any so far. Touch wood. Ah, there we go. Did I mention my calendar's now available? 2022 calendar, photography, landscape photography calendar. Only printed a few. They might have sold out actually. This little piece of camera might be a moo points. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? No, there'll be quite a few left, I expect. I only put them on sale last week. So Thomas Heaton 2022 landscape photography calendar 2022 available. Link in the description below. Help support the channel. Help keep the dream alive. Ah, wow, look at this. Home straight now, home straight to camp this evening. Not far to go. So this is the end of day 3, and actually this is the halfway point. And you'll notice that I'm in a camper van. We're actually in Murray's camper van, who's currently somewhere. There he is, just getting ready for tomorrow. So logistically, we've done this on purpose. My van is parked at the end of the trek, so right at the bottom of the Isle of Skye. Murray's van is at the halfway point, and then we've got a taxi to the start at the north. The great thing about that is we can stow loads of supplies in this camper van. Food, clean clothes, all that kind of good stuff, which means I've been able to go mega lightweight. I've only had to take 3 days of food and no spare clothes, because I knew at the halfway point I could change clothes and put new food in, top up my food supply. So that's worked out excellently. And for an added touch of luxury, we're both sleeping in the van tonight. Murray downstairs, me in the pop top upstairs. So very much looking forward to that as opposed to the tent. Now in terms of today's hiking, oh man, it's great. I think we've done about 17 miles in total. My GPS glitched a bit and didn't record the entire track, but we think it's about 17 miles. So the start of the walk was amazing. The first sort of 3 or 4 miles from camp to Portree was outstanding. The views were breathtaking. I mean, I can't find the adjectives to describe it. It was beautiful. And then as soon as you leave Portree, it's just not great, if I'm honest. We had about, I don't know, 5 or 6 miles maybe of just road walking, and it was nice scenery, but walking on a road, having to stop for cars every 5 minutes was a bit grim. And then for the latter part, we kind of walked down this loch all the way to where we are now, which is 𝐓𝐴𝐞𝐞. That was lovely, a nice long loch walk. We saw wildlife, beautiful mountain views, the full works. So that was good. And here we are at the camper van. So I'm going to end the video here. This is the halfway point. Make sure you tune in next week, because we're extending this, although we are doing the Skye Trail, before we get to the bottom of the official Skye Trail, we're actually going to peel off. So we're not going to the end of the Skye Trail, we're peeling off and trying to hit the very southern tip of the island, where there are no footpaths, no marked trails, uncharted territory, and we have no idea what it's going to hold in store. We're allowing 2 days to do that. We're hoping to do it in one big day, but if it's slow going and bushwhacking and, you know, a midge fest, tick fest, it could be 2 days. Heck, we might not even make it. Who knows what the terrain's like? We haven't got a clue. So that will be coming in next week's video. So until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you've enjoyed this first half. Yeah, all right, I'm waffling on. Bye bye, goodbye, see you next time.